The first punch knocked the Heavyset single dad onto the scorching sidewalk, and the crowd barely looked twice. The second kick sent his grocery bag spilling across the pavement, with apples rolling into the street and a small birthday cake sliding face down onto the concrete. The men who attacked him laughed, convinced they had just humiliated another overweight stranger who couldn't defend himself. But less than 60 seconds later, 6 identical black SUVs swept into the parking lot in perfect formation. Uniformed men stepped out with disciplined precision, stopped several feet from the fallen father, and raised flawless military salutes. Every voice fell silent as one of them spoke the words that froze the entire crowd in disbelief. The man everyone had mocked was their former Delta Force commander. Before this unforgettable journey begins, if you believe kindness is stronger than cruelty, forgiveness is more powerful than revenge, and everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel. Every act of support helps our community continue sharing stories that remind our family that compassion can change lives. Garrett Holloway had once been known for carrying 80 pounds of equipment through impossible mountains while leading soldiers home alive. Years later, life had changed him in ways no battlefield ever had. His broad shoulders remained, but years of grief, stress, and raising a daughter alone had added weight that strangers judged without understanding. At 48, he no longer wore combat boots. He wore faded jeans, comfortable sneakers, and an old baseball cap that hid streaks of gray in his hair. Every morning began before sunrise so he could prepare breakfast, braid his daughter's hair as best as he had learned from online videos, drive her to school, and then spend long hours repairing heating systems for families who often struggled to afford repairs. He quietly discounted bills for elderly customers and never mentioned it to anyone. His 12-year-old daughter, Hazel, had become the brightest light in his life after her mother, Eleanor, passed away from an aggressive illness 6 years earlier. Losing his wife had broken something inside Garrett that no medal or military honor could repair. Food became comfort. Sleep became rare. The proud commander who had inspired elite soldiers slowly became a quiet father trying to survive one ordinary day at a time. Hazel never cared about her father's appearance. She saw the man who packed her lunch with handwritten notes, attended every school concert, and clapped louder than anyone else. She knew he skipped buying new clothes for himself so she could join the school science club. To her, he wasn't overweight. He was home. One bright Saturday afternoon, Garrett promised Hazel they would celebrate her birthday with a picnic in the city park after picking up her favorite chocolate cake from a small family bakery. Money was tight, so the celebration would be simple, but Hazel had insisted that spending time together mattered more than expensive presents. The bakery owner smiled warmly as Garrett carefully carried the cake while balancing grocery bags in both hands. Hazel waited inside the nearby bookstore, searching for a used mystery novel with the birthday money her grandmother had mailed. As Garrett crossed the parking lot, 3 young men leaned against a customized sports car, laughing loudly. They were wealthy brothers who enjoyed recording humiliating videos for social media. Their online followers rewarded cruelty with millions of views. One brother noticed Garrett's size and whispered something that made the others grin. They blocked his path, pretending it was a joke. Garrett politely tried to walk around them. One shoulder slammed into his chest, the grocery bags slipped, fresh fruit scattered everywhere. Garrett calmly bent down to collect everything, hoping to avoid conflict. Instead, another shove sent him to one knee. Someone nearby laughed, phones appeared, the third brother recorded everything. They mocked his weight, his slow movements, and the cake now ruined on the pavement. Garrett looked at the crushed frosting for only a second before quietly gathering the damaged box. His first thought wasn't about embarrassment. It was about Hazel's disappointed face. That he slowly stood and simply asked to be allowed to leave. Another hard punch struck his jaw. That he fell again. The crowd watched, some looked uncomfortable, nobody moved. Years earlier Garrett would have neutralized every attacker within seconds, but those years had also taught him something greater than combat. Violence always carried consequences, especially for a father responsible for a child waiting nearby. He chose restraint even while absorbing humiliation. Then everything changed. A convoy of 6 black SUVs entered the parking lot with unmistakable precision. they stopped simultaneously, doors opened, men and women wearing military uniforms stepped out alongside several officials in civilian attire. Without hesitation they approached Garrett, every one of them saluted. Their leader, Colonel Preston Mercer, lowered his salute only after Garrett acknowledged it with quiet respect. The parking lot became completely silent. Colonel Mercer spoke with visible emotion that he said their commander had disappeared from public life after losing his wife, refusing interviews, promotions, and political opportunities because raising his daughter mattered more than recognition. He reminded everyone gathered that dozens of soldiers were alive because Garrett Holloway had repeatedly risked his own life to bring every teammate home, refusing to abandon anyone, even under impossible circumstances. The young men holding their phones suddenly realized millions of online followers could not erase what they had done. Garrett looked embarrassed rather than proud that he asked the colonel to stop praising him, that he simply wanted another birthday cake for his little girl. The bakery owner, wiping away tears, rushed outside carrying the largest cake in the shop and insisted it was a birthday gift. Customers inside the bakery applauded. People who had watched without helping lowered their eyes in shame. One elderly woman stepped forward first. She apologized for remaining silent. Her trembling voice admitted fear had stopped her from doing the right thing. Her courage inspired others. Soon several witnesses admitted they should have intervened instead of recording. Garrett accepted every apology with remarkable grace that he reminded everyone that courage often begins with one ordinary person choosing kindness instead of comfort. Meanwhile, the three brothers found themselves surrounded not by soldiers, but by the weight of public disappointment. Their own parents arrived after receiving frantic phone calls. Their father, a respected local businessman, watched the video recorded by countless bystanders. His face reflected heartbreak rather than anger. He realized he had given his sons every financial advantage while failing to teach empathy. The brothers expected Garrett to demand punishment. Instead, he surprised everyone that he declined pressing additional charges beyond the consequences already required by law for the assault. He said hatred had already stolen enough from too many lives. Colonel Mercer looked at Garrett with the same admiration soldiers once carried into dangerous missions. Leadership, he knew, was never measured by force. It was measured by mercy. Hazel finally emerged from the bookstore carrying her worn paperback. She immediately noticed the bruise forming on her father's cheek. She ran toward him with frightened eyes. Garrett smiled before she could cry. He gently showed her the replacement birthday cake. She hugged him tightly without caring about the crowd watching. Colonel Mercer knelt and handed Hazel a small challenge coin engraved with the emblem of Garrett's former unit. He explained that only extraordinary people earned such respect. Hazel looked proudly at her father, finally understanding why strangers in uniform treated him with such honor. Weeks passed. The assault video spread across the country. What surprised everyone wasn't the attack. It was Garrett's response. Instead of revenge, interviews, or fame, he quietly returned to fixing broken heating systems and helping neighbors. Schools invited him to speak about courage. Veterans asked him to mentor younger families struggling after military service. Local businesses donated resources after hearing how difficult single parenthood had become following Eleanor's death. Garrett accepted help only when it also benefited other struggling families. He created a weekend community workshop where veterans repaired bicycles, appliances, and wheelchairs. Free of charge for anyone in need. The three brothers were ordered by the court to complete hundreds of hours of community service. First they complained, then something unexpected happened. Working beside veterans and elderly volunteers slowly transformed them. They met families living with hardships they had never imagined. They watched Garrett patiently teach children how to repair bicycles instead of replacing them. Not once did he insult them, not once did he remind them of their worst day. One afternoon the oldest brother quietly admitted that Garrett's forgiveness hurt more than any punishment because it forced him to become someone better. Months later those same brothers used their social media accounts to promote anti-bullying campaigns, volunteer projects, and fundraising events for military families. Many people doubted their sincerity. Garrett encouraged patience. Real change, he said, is proven over time, not by perfect words. Hazel's next school assembly became one of the happiest days of Garrett's life. Instead of honoring military achievements, the principal presented him with a Community Heart Award for demonstrating forgiveness, humility, and service. Hazel stood proudly Beside her father, while hundreds of parents applauded, Garrett realized something profound. His greatest victory had never happened on a battlefield. It happened when his daughter saw that strength could choose compassion over anger. As the ceremony ended beneath a bright afternoon sky, Garrett looked upward for a brief moment, imagining Eleanor smiling somewhere beyond the clouds. He knew she would be proud that the man she loved had not allowed grief, humiliation, or bitterness to define the rest of his life. He had become living proof that even the deepest wounds could grow into sources of hope when watered with forgiveness. Before this story comes to its close, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment telling us what touched your heart the most. Do you believe true strength is shown through forgiveness, or would you have made a different choice? Your thoughts may inspire someone else in our community who needs hope today. The parking lot where strangers once watched a lonely father fall eventually became nothing more than an ordinary place again. But the people who had witnessed that afternoon were never quite the same. They learned that appearances reveal almost nothing about the battles another person has survived. They learned that the strongest heroes rarely announce themselves. Sometimes they carry grocery bags instead of medals. Sometimes they wear worn-out shoes instead of polished boots. Sometimes they are simply single parents doing everything they can to give one child a reason to smile. And sometimes the greatest salute a person can ever receive is not from soldiers in perfect formation, but from a daughter who looks at her father with complete love, unwavering respect, and endless gratitude. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Together, our family and our community can keep proving that kindness is never weakness, forgiveness is never defeat, and hope always has the final word.